When we hold on to grievance and pain from the past, we keep ourselves from being able to really move into our fullest expression of self. We need to practice forgiveness from the soul recovery perspective, dissipating the energy and releasing the past for good. If you're interested in this profound transformation, I invite you to join me in Colorado the weekend of June 8th and 9th to have an incredible experience with others on this same soul recovery journey. 2 full days of immersion in the soul recovery process where you will indeed leave transformed. You will be able to truly let go of these old pains and step into a new way of being. Check out the show notes for a coupon code and how to register. One of the many gifts that I've received in my soul recovery journey is to be able to be present in this moment right here, right now. More often, sometimes I still fall out and go into the past or into the future, but more often I'm able to be right here, right now, even if that being right here, right now is in difficult emotions or something that feels sad. I look back on my life and I realize that I was so caught up in my anxiety of what I was trying to keep from happening in the future, or so caught up in my rumination and sadness around what had happened. I was missing the strength of being right here, right now, and being able to handle whatever comes and to be able to feel the feelings, helping me to live my life from my highest self. Being a human is complex and our emotions are complex. But when we can learn to be right here in this moment, we're not missing our life. We're actually living our full experience, the joys, the highs, and the hard times and the lows. All of it is helping us to be our fullest, most true selves and to live in a way that is in accordance with what we've been brought here to do and to be. So this episode is about how to be right here, right now. Welcome to the Recover Your Soul podcast, a spiritual path to a happy and healthy life. My name is Reverend Rachel Harrison. I started Recover Your Soul after having profound changes in my life from my recovery of alcoholism, codependency, and control addiction. I was guided to share the tools and principles of spirituality and soul recovery to help others transform their lives as mine was transformed. For us to overcome external circumstances, we need to turn the attention to ourselves, focusing on our inner change and healing. Positive results in our lives will follow. Hello, and welcome back to the Recover Your Soul podcast. I'm Rev Rachel, and I thank you for choosing to spend your time with me here today. I just was looking at my Apple Podcast account and including bonus episodes for the Friday subscribers. I have now downloaded and recorded 300 episodes, which just seems so incredible that these last almost 3.5 years of sharing my life with you, sharing my recovery with you, sharing soul recovery, and having more and more spiritual clarity, that there's so much content. And I am so grateful for this community, for you who's sitting there right now listening to me, doing some task or being present with yourself, taking care of yourself, that this is how you are choosing to spend your time, and this building of this community that is just so incredible. That when I sit on our monthly soul recovery support group Zoom that's free and available to everyone, there's around 40 people who come each month, and some are repeaters and some are new. And you just feel this incredible knowing that we're in this together, that we are sharing our journey of soul recovery. We are stepping out of our codependence. We're stepping out of the need for other people to be okay, for us to be okay. We're stepping into a spiritual path that by being in that moment with others, being with me in this moment, hearing my voice, knowing that you are able to step outside of the ways that you have thought, the beliefs that have been part of your life, the situations and the circumstances that we're in, and start to realize that you have some co-creation and some ability to take your power back and to start to create a life for you that is based on your needs, your true self, your highest self, realizing that you don't have to settle for anything. This is soul recovery. This is this community just growing. And it's just with such gratitude that I can sit in my little studio in my backyard and connect with you here, knowing that I've been given this incredible opportunity with your support as a community by booking coaching sessions with me, the donations, the subscriptions, joining workshops. All of those things allow me to do this full time, to support this community full time. And I am so honored. I am so honored to be in your life. So I just thank you for 300 episodes in. Today's episode, I wanted to really come into the power of being in the present moment, being in our bodies in the present moment. How, when we look at this spiritual practice of stepping outside of what is the rumination and the fear of the past or the regret of the past or the pain of the past, then the future, the anxiety, the worry that we have in the future, that we often miss this moment right here, right now, and the power of being in this moment. Appreciating, seeing how much strength there is in not getting caught up in what we don't have any control of, the past or the future. So that's going to be our topic today, is being right here, right now. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start by offering you a meditation. And you can do this even if you're doing a task. You can do this if you're driving in your car. We're not going to do a deep meditation. What I'd like to offer you is just to ground and center into this place. And this is something that I do when we're having a coaching session. I start every coaching session with this style of grounding meditation. So we're going to start with that as we come into this episode today. First, I just invite you to, if you are doing something where you can close your eyes, to close your eyes. If you're doing something where you can't close your eyes, keep them open, but be present, and just start by taking a deep centering breath and releasing with tension on the out. And really feel that breath leave your body, and then come back to the attention of your breath. Just the in and the out, allowing yourself to focus or have your attention on the rise and the fall of your abdomen and your chest. Just being really present with your breath. Now you're going to notice that your mind is busy. And we're not trying to stop the mind. We're just separating ourselves out from the attachment to it and bringing ourselves into our body right here, right now in this moment. Connecting into our breath, just feeling our feet on the floor or our seat, maybe in a chair, or maybe the clothes touching your skin, or what your hair might feel like on the side of your face. What do your hands feel like? What do your feet feel like? Being right here, right now, in this moment. And every time your mind starts to spin and you start to come out and want to try to control or think about, that's what our brains do. That's their job. And we're just going to come back to our breath. Feeling that rise and fall of our abdomen, our chest. Coming back to our body sensations, noticing if you have tension anywhere. And in this moment, allowing yourself to feel the peace that is in this moment. There may be a lot going on in your life, but right here, right now, as you listen to the sound of my voice, notice that there is a truth that all is well. There is a truth that there is strength within you. There's a truth that you are connected to something even greater still. That when you let go of being elsewhere, in time or in thought. And you bring yourself right here, right now. You can feel a sense of peace within, a tenderness, a awareness. And always coming back to your breath, using it as a way to ground yourself, to anchor yourself into this moment right now. And just feeling whatever feelings you have. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're anxious. Allowing them just to be, not pushing them aside, just noticing them, letting them move through you, letting those thoughts just dissipate, not attaching to it. Coming into this space. And then bringing awareness to your body, really awareness to what it feels like to be in your body in this moment. Maybe there's some sounds around you, maybe there's activity around you. If you're driving or you're doing an activity, like really being present driving. Not thinking about what you're going to do when you get to your destination, but just being present in this moment. What does it feel like in this moment to be doing whatever activity you're doing in this moment? Maybe you're doing chores, or putting on your makeup and getting ready in the morning. How does it feel to be right here, right now, not in the future? And then take a couple deep breaths and just releasing. Again, feeling your body coming into your body, releasing, and then opening your eyes if they were closed, stretching your body a little bit, just moving around. Just a couple minutes of meditation like that a day can have profound effects on how we can be in the moment. It is so easy for us to get so caught up in the past and the future and not be present in our bodies, not be present in happening right now. What is happening right now? And I know for me that I can get so caught up in that part of me that wants to control what's going to happen next for the ease of everyone else around me, for the ease of myself, that I want to participate in trying to help. I'm working on these things and I'm so much better than I used to be, but I'm still in it. I still have stuff with my kids where something comes up and I watch myself, as I've talked about in previous podcasts, getting hooked in again. I think so often about how I watched a movie and it had sign language in it, and it was around an addict. And the sign for addict is your finger like a hook in your mouth, hooking you. And I have that visual so often around being hooked, and that it's addiction that hooks us, and that addiction that we can get so caught up in somebody else's addiction to a substance or a behavior, we lose sight that we're hooked. We're hooked in our addiction to them and their lives. That addiction means it's out of your control, that it's running you instead of you making decisions around it. And so we can do the same thing where we get really caught up in the past and the future. And what ends up happening when we do that is we're not actually allowing whatever is right here and right now, whether it's wonderful and joyous or whether it's painful and complex and heavy emotions. When we do that, what we're not allowing is for us to resource from our spiritually grounded, centered place that believes and knows that we can make it through anything, that we can handle anything, because we're in the projection. when we think about the future that is based on our experiences from the past. So the interesting thing about being a human being is that we have these protectors within us, these aspects of ourselves that have come into our being every time that we've been wounded. Maybe they've come into play when we realize this is how we show up in a certain situation. This is how I'm going to be loved. This is how I'm going to be recognized. You don't even know, because all this is happening in our subconscious. This is how we build how we show up and how we survive and our personality traits. It's part of being human. It's an essential piece of being human. But the way that our brains work is that they're constantly going back and re-evaluating what's happening based on how it happened in the past. And that's learning. It isn't about wiping those things out. It's about starting to recognize how you can use this as a benefit and when it's not benefiting you, and not getting caught up in ruminating and living from the past so that you're not missing the now and feeling your resourced, strong self that is in this present moment in your body. If you're ready for soul recovery, as a spiritual coach, I can support your healing to help make real changes that will bring you a life of peace, happiness, connection, and abundance. You can also work in smaller groups by taking a deep dive in a Zoom workshop or with me in person at a retreat or an event. Join others on the soul recovery path once a month for the free Zoom support group or daily on the private Facebook page. Visit the website recoveryoursoul.net to book coaching sessions with me or find all the information you need about soul recovery, dates that are coming up, and how to register for those groups and workshops. To support the podcast and the community, check the links in the show notes to make a small monthly donation or a one-time donation of your choice that will make a huge impact to support this community and the soul recovery mission. Together, we can do the work that will recover your soul. One of the things that happens in our relationships is that we have to remember what was painful for us, again, to survive. I've noticed in my soul recovery that has been one of my greatest blessings in the be here now is that I have been able to truly forgive and release past wounds and the energy that it had inside of my body. And that it's like it's a book that sits on a shelf that is the truth of what happened. We're not dismissing the truth of what happened. We have this belief that we have to hold on to what happened to us, or how people hurt us, or what they did, or what that relationship was like, and how that was bad. And what we end up doing is we end up replaying those scenarios in our subconscious so that we're still interacting with them in our conscious, in our life, because it's trying to work it through. So in soul recovery, what we're learning is we're learning how to look at those situations in a new way to truly process from a compassionate, kind, open-hearted, non-judgmental way all the things that have happened to us, to recognize and feel those feelings, to validate the feelings, not from a place of being a victim, but from a place of strength and awareness that gives ourselves voice to the truth of what we've been through and sees them from learning, from an opportunity to be in the curriculum of life, and lets the energy dissipate from them in their woundedness. And when we can truly do this, what is so beautiful is that it takes all of that sticky, addictive, hooky energy from what's happened in our past relationships, and it stops replaying those old tapes, those old beliefs, those old patterns, so that you can actually be in this relationship, in this body, in this moment in time, now. So I think about this in a couple different ways. One is in relationships with other people. And I'll use Rich for an example. And I often say this to people when we're coaching. Rich and I had 10 or 15 solid years of complexity and pain. There was lots of good times that happened in there, but the undercurrent was this sticky, dissatisfied, edgy, walk on eggshells, fight a lot, just real not being content, not being best friends, not being able to just relax and be happy like we are today. That happened. This isn't about saying that didn't happen and I'm just going to erase the file. That is not at all what soul recovery is about. What soul recovery is about looking at that and saying that happened. That's true. And to allow myself to see what parts I played in it, to allow myself to see what buttons get pushed by him in me that were things that I could work on, and to start to recognize what was it that I was trying to control? What was it that I was trying to manipulate? Can I just be kind to the situation that says raising kids is so hard? And being in those parts of our lives where there's financial strain, so many personalities and so many moving parts, like, can I just give myself some grace and just say, it was a really tough time? And to be able to do the work that I've done in it, to truly forgive from the aspect that has compassion, forgiving myself first and foremost for how I handled it, how I felt, how it responded in my body, how I used, of course I did, my defense mechanisms, my protectors that came up and told me how to behave, how to protect myself, what to do based on my entire lifetime of experience. Can I allow myself the grace to forgive myself? And then can I have the grace to forgive Rich? There's a lot of stuff, even as I say this right now, I can feel how when we go back, so I'm kind of back opening up the chapter of my book that has these stories in it. There was a lot of really, really, really painful stuff. But if I'm constantly dealing with him today from the pain that I felt from him then, and the situations that we were in then, I'm not actually being present with him in this moment right here, right now. I'm actually living and being in the past with him. In my past, my hurt past, I'm actually living in a ghost town. I'm bringing up the ghosts of pain and resentment and anger. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't happen in the now that sometimes are complicated or sometimes push my buttons. But when I deal with them from this moment right here, from my resourced, integrated, spiritually guided self that says, how do you feel about it right now, today? Not bringing with it all of the emotions that came from 30 years of being together, but how do I feel about it right here, right now, today? And how can I handle it today from this resourced place that has learned, that has grown, that has matured, that has more wisdom, that has more kindness? That's what's been the gift that's allowed us to really move from the past and to live in this house together as new people. I'm an entirely different person than I was even 6 years ago. And I think Rich is an entirely different person than he was even 6 years ago. Right now, there's a lot going on in my kids' lives. Rich has been the one who's been talking to them a little bit more on the phone. It's good stuff, it's adult stuff. It's transition, it's changes, it's decisions. It's really them coming into their own. And he was sharing with me that he feels so grateful that his soul recovery, his spiritual journey has allowed him to learn how to be with them in a way that feels more empowering to them, that allows him to feel like he can share what he thinks, but he doesn't have attachment, just how expansive and big his heart feels for his children. And I think to myself, I could attach to the past and think, why couldn't you have been like that before? You weren't like that when we were, raising the kids before. And, now you think that you can think these thoughts. That is so easy to want to drudge up and drag all of that old pain. But what I am able to do now is I'm able to have so much more gratitude for where we are right here. And I think, wow, that is so cool. I love that he is who he is today. He's embodying who he is today. And that aspect of him is desirable to me. That part of him makes me more connected. That part of me trusts him a lot. It also allows us to not get too caught up in the future, because the future also was dragging behind with it all of that messy stuff and the pain and the complexity of the past. Now, sometimes in our present moment right now, there's a lot going on that is complicated and difficult. But if we do this practice, and I'm telling you, the spiritual end of it, of having a practice, a spiritual practice, what do you do for yourself in the morning? Can you do 5 or 10 minutes of meditation, guided meditation, or reading or listening to something that is spiritually grounding? Can you do 5 or 10 minutes in the evening? More is even better, but literally just these anchors in our day to bring us into our grounded, spiritually connected place that does the piece that turns it over to something even greater still. That lets go of this belief that we have to cling tightly to what's happening, because that's the part of the future that is around attachment and a desire to make it be a certain way. Because that's all coming from the past and how it went last time and what was happening. So when we do this work of just bringing ourselves into our body, right here, right now, so often, even if there's so much going on in my life, and I just touch into myself right here, right now, I'm okay. All is well in this moment, even if there is a lot going on. Right now, I'm okay. And then that gives you the ability to hear more clearly what the guidance is that's coming from your spiritually grounded self, from your higher self, and not from the place that's in the past with all of its fear and all of its woundedness and all of its projection and all of its perception that is around protecting. You see how we're just letting that dissipate. We're letting it go. And it's not easy. That's the beauty of doing the steps of soul recovery. It offers you a way to move through it, to begin to use the steps of admitting we're powerless over every single thing outside of ourselves, to open up to a power greater than ourselves and be willing to turn it over, to start to look at what those old beliefs and patterns were, how they have affected our lives, and how we're still living and running from beliefs and patterns that don't serve us anymore, and beginning to start to see what our defense mechanisms are, to be willing to let them go, to open up to our truth of who we are, to claim our spiritually grounded resource self, to trust that we can live from that place, then to start to look at where can I take responsibility to have forgiveness for myself and for others. And then ultimately about living from this spiritually grounded place and using these tools all the time. That's the short version of the soul recovery journey, the 9 steps of soul recovery. It's not a process that's ended in just one working through the steps. This is the curriculum of life. This is our constantly coming back to our grounded, centered, spiritually resourced place. And just letting those layers slowly, slowly dissipate, open up, and reveal to you the truth of who you are, so that you can trust and know that everything is indeed working out for you. That life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. And that you can start to co-create with this higher power the life of your dreams, the life that is truly who you are meant to be. And allowing everybody else to have their own experience with compassion and love. So being in this present moment right here, right now is so powerful. And it's the only moment that we have. Ultimately, time is going by so fast. I don't know if anybody else just feels like, wow, there's not an entire lifetime left for me. But I have a chapter, a pretty significant chapter left where I'm young still and healthy. What am I going to do with that? How am I not going to let that slip through my fingers? How can I stand on the edge of sometimes difficult and scary, oh my goodness, like stepping out in faith that you can do bold things and have big dreams and trust that you're being guided and held to move out into that place, not being small, utilizing every moment and just milking it for the beauty that life is, releasing all of that old stuff that no longer serves you, all the pain that taught you something, that you can let it go. It is okay to not think about it once you've processed it out. You can be in this moment contented and happy and connected to something greater still. It's the bliss that everyone looks for in a spiritual journey. If you want help with any of these things, you want to work the steps, you need help processing through the past, finding your beliefs, finding those patterns, just working through this ability to be here right now and loving yourself and your life. That's what I'm here for in spiritual coaching. I'm here to support you on your soul recovery journey. Until next time, namaste. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Recovery Soul Podcast and being part of this amazing and growing community. If you loved this episode and you want even more, there is a bonus episode with even more content every Friday. This is by subscription. You can access that by being a Patreon member, and there's 3 tiers of giving of your choice, or an Apple Podcast subscriber. Once you have subscribed, you have access to a whole back catalog of episodes as well. If you would go to the website, recoveryoursoul.net, and I would love for you to subscribe to email updates so that you can keep posted with everything that's going on, different events, what dates are coming up, any reminders. There's only a couple emails each month. I hope you'll follow Recover Your Soul on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the private Facebook community page, TikTok, and if you want guided meditations, look for Reverend Rachel Harrison on Insight Timer. I really encourage you to take advantage of the one-on-one coaching. This is a unique, intuitive connection between the two of us. There are 9 steps to soul recovery, and I do use those 9 steps to loosely guide us through whatever your coaching that you need. But really, it's about creating a way for you to feel comfortable around your healing of your past, looking at the situations in your life. What are the patterns? What are the beliefs that are holding you back? Breaking free from those patterns, breaking free from those beliefs, letting go of control, letting go of the people around you, and taking your power back, discovering who you are and who you want to be in the world and how I can support you to do this. And also, you're sharing this podcast with your friends, putting 5 stars, leaving reviews, really sharing this with others is growing the community. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for supporting Recover Your Soul. And I know that together we can do the work that will recover your soul. The Recover Your Soul podcast and its content is for educational purposes only and is not allied or representative of any organizations or religions. It's based on the opinions and experience of Reverend Rachel Harrison. Recover Your Soul claims no responsibility to any persons or entity for any liability, loss, damage, or cause alleged to be caused directly or indirectly as a result of its use. Applications or interpretations of the information represented herein. Take what you need and leave the rest.